Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. Today I thought I would give you guys kind of a end of year recap. So this year we used entirely new curriculum for all of our kids. If you watched our curriculum choices video that I put up last year, obviously, then you would know that we made some major changes. We pretty much changed like everything. It's challenging because I do have 5 children that we homeschooled this year, and they all have different learning styles. One of my daughters has some learning challenges and things like that. So it's just been, sometimes these videos are hard to make because obviously our reasons for liking or not liking something might not even be applicable to you. But I just wanted to kind of jump in and do a little bit of a recap. The major switch that we made this year was that we went to the good and the beautiful for a lot of our curriculum. Not everything, but a lot of it. And so a lot of people have been curious how that worked for us. And I will say that it worked pretty well. There's definitely some things that my kids are not used to, and maybe that's a good thing that we've made the switch, but doing like art study, right? Like where you're asked to look at a picture and just ponder it and think about it and what do you see, and my kids are not really, they don't really think that way. It's not a natural thing for them. So that's been a bit of a challenge because they're very, in a lot of ways, like very literal. So they're just like, it's a tree and a house. What do you mean? You want me to like tell you the feeling of the painting? It has emotion. It's a painting. So it's been a little bit more challenging to get them to do some of those things, but I do think that it's only proof that they maybe really needed that added in. They needed something that caused them to really stop and think about things in a different way and not be so literal and so just like checking boxes to get stuff done, and taking some time to really appreciate art and poetry and things that they hadn't really before. So in that way, I definitely feel like it was challenging, but in a good way. I will also say that if your kids have been through public school, or I don't even really necessarily know like compared to other curriculums, but the good and the beautiful is pretty rigorous in their language arts. The levels do not correspond to grade levels, which can be hard mentally for both the kid and the parent. If they feel like, well, you're in this grade, but you're doing this level, and but what I have found is if we can let go of that expectation and understand that the level is, you have to build on it. So if you force your child into a higher level just because you and they want to feel better about what level you've written down that they're doing, it's just a disservice to you both. It's going to be too challenging for the child, and it's going to be discouraging for them to constantly feel like they never know, they don't know the answer, they don't know how to do it, and it's not going to give you the good foundation that you need to build on for those skills. So really being honest with yourself when you take the assessment for the good and the beautiful language arts, and putting your child in the level that they actually test into, and not into what maybe vanity level, right? What level you think they should be in. And the other thing I'll say is there's a Facebook group on Facebook, that is for families using the good and the beautiful. And if you go there and say, hey, my 8-year-old is using this level, where are your 8-year-olds at? It's gonna make you feel a lot better, because most of the people in there are not using levels corresponding to grades. So you will find older children using the lower levels because it's really about giving them that good foundation. And so that's another way that you can kind of get connected with other families, and I think it will ease your mind a little bit if you're concerned about the levels for your children. The language arts portion worked pretty well for everybody this year. I don't want to go into like individual specifics because like I said, I have 5 children, so I think we would be here all day if I tried to like go into great detail. So I kind of just want to like overview all the subjects. So let's move on to math. This year for math, we used teaching textbooks for my older girls, and we used the Good and the Beautiful's math is what we started with for Noah. Jonah and Rosie were doing the preschool curriculum. Jonah was 4 when we started the school year, and Rosie had just turned 7. But if you are not familiar with our channel, my daughter Rosie has Down syndrome, and so she is cognitively more like a 3 to 4-year-old. So we do things with her that are on her level. So they had both done the pre-K this year, and that worked pretty well for them. Jonah, my son, got a little bored, but he's also a 4-year-old boy, and I think anything bores him that's not outside poking something with a stick. So I don't know that anything different would have made any difference. He's just, and I do want to point out that we only do literally like 20 to 30 minutes of actual like sit down schoolwork with our young children when they're in preschool, but especially our children that exhibit more of that, like just more energy and are harder to slow down. I don't want to say boys because so far it's been our boys, but I can see in our youngest daughter, one of our twins, Amelia, that she's going to have a very similar personality. I don't think she's going to sit still for school when she's 4. She's just all over the place, and I see her kind of being more like that. So I don't think it's necessarily a gender thing, but for us so far it's been our 2 boys that really need less like formal instruction and more time to play, and keeping their educational, like formal educational time very, very small. So teaching textbooks worked great for my older 2 girls. Once again, I really enjoy that. It's been so helpful to have somebody else, because it's sort of like the computer is teaching the concept and then you as the parent are coming in and reinforcing it and helping. I've seen some different reviews about teaching textbooks. I think that whether or not it's successful for your kids is greatly going to depend on your children, their personalities, and things like that. Because yes, you can skip problems. There's some other, you can go back and retry things. There are some ways to kind of cheat the system with teaching textbooks, but we haven't had a problem with that. Our girls have been pretty, I don't think they even know or pay attention, but they're pretty forthcoming. So I don't really worry about that, but I know for some people that's been a concern. So you need to know your child to know what they will do best with when it comes to teaching textbooks. But we have really loved it. It keeps track of all of the grades, all of the quizzes, everything. So I don't have to do anything but just save that login information and I can go back and forth. And we do the 3.0 version, which is all online, and it's just so easy. So Noah did the Good and the Beautiful's Level K math this year. He was in 1st grade this year, but part of the reason we chose to homeschool him this year is because he was a little behind in our public school system where he was going. It was actually a charter school and they had pretty rigorous standards. So he was a little behind by their standards and they wanted to hold him back, and that was part of the reason that we chose to homeschool him this year. So we started him out using the Level K from the Good and the Beautiful, and really a lot of that was way too easy for him. So he kind of got bored, and he's my one that's hard to grab his attention, and so if he gets bored, it's all over. So we moved on and started doing Matthew C with him, and he did a lot better with that, but still not great. And so I thought maybe having it be Matthew C is very black and white. It's not super colorful. And I thought maybe that would help him from getting so distracted, because the Good and the Beautiful has so many beautiful colors and manipulatives and stuff like that. And for him, it was almost distracting. Instead of just focusing on what he needed to learn, his brain was like, look, a B, and ooh, what's this and what's that? And it was harder for him to focus. However, we didn't find that going to Matthew C was that much more effective. For him, that was almost like too far the other direction, where he was just kind of like bored. So we ended up switching him to math lessons for a living education from Master Books, and that has been so much better. It is a very Charlotte Mason-y type of curriculum in that you have these beautiful worksheets and stuff that they do, but there's story and it's taking them through. So I'll read him the story of what's going on, and then we move on, and the lessons tie in to the story. And I think that really helps his brain. It definitely seems to be a lot more up his alley, and he's able to focus more when he has the story to kind of reference of what's going on, and then he's doing the math that goes with that. Which has also led me to blow the dust off of my Life of Fred, because Life of Fred is very much like that. It's story-based math. And so I don't think it's a full and robust curriculum all on its own, but it's a great thing to add in if you have a learner like that who needs to kind of hear things that way and be told a story and bring it in that way. So I think I'm going to bring out the Life of Fred books, and we're going to incorporate that into his math moving forward for next year as well. I think that covers everything for math. And I'm not going to go into all the different apps that we use. I can make a separate video about the different apps that we use because we do have some online games and some apps that the kids like to use that sort of supplement, especially with my preschooler Jonah and with Rosie. Like for example, they really like Splash Math. So it's a good thing that they can do on the computer, or sometimes they can do it on an iPad to really kind of help reinforce those math concepts for them. So let's see, moving on from math, let's talk a little bit about like science and some of our units. So we used Good and Beautiful units this year, and I'm in love, you guys. I am in love. And just towards the end of the year, I found out about teaching toolboxes. That's what it's called, I believe, teaching toolboxes, or toolboxes for teaching. I don't remember, but I'll have it all linked down below. So if you do a unit, for example, like the weather, you will have a supply list of things that you need. And if you're anything like me, sometimes it's hard to go out and gather all that stuff. It's not stuff I have just laying around. And so it's like an all-day errand to go and gather supplies for upcoming units. And then kids get into things and I lose them, and so it's really cool. It's pretty affordable, and you just order the box unit for that particular thing. So like for the weather one, and the box comes, it's all sealed up, and it has everything you need. And I believe most of them are for 6 children to do the activity. Some of them are for 2. It just depends on which one you're ordering, but that's more than enough for all of my kids that want to participate in things. So it's really, really great. There are some things that aren't included, like perishable items and stuff like that. Like they're not going to send you a scoop of ice cream if it's called for. They're going to expect you to do that on your own. But if it's not perishable, then it's included in the box for the most part, or if it's not like a giant thing. So it's just a really great way to have all of that on hand all the time for the units. And as you guys know, I also have a deep love for Usborne books, and using, like, when we're going to start a new unit, going through and buying books. Now you can go to the library and check them out, but I really enjoy buying all those and then having them on like a reference shelf for the kids. So, and I just feel like Usborne like has books about everything. It's so easy if you're going to do the arthropods, like to find books about bugs and different things, like, and they're always just so good and educational. Sometimes they have the internet linked ones where you can go and it'll tell you where to go online to find out even more. So that's really beneficial and helpful as well. So we really loved the Good and the Beautiful units, the different science units, and they have like safety and health and human body. And this year we're going to be doing the reproductive one and all that kind of stuff. So I'll be sharing in a separate video what we're going to be doing for this upcoming school year, but I just wanted to share that we did love the units from the Good and the Beautiful. Now we also did history this year from the Good and the Beautiful, and we liked it. I'm just unsure. I'm still on the fence about whether or not I loved it. So I liked it. I can't say that I loved it or didn't love it. It was just okay for me. We also did the Good and the Beautiful's handwriting, loved it, we've already ordered the next level up from what we started with, and they've been doing those for a little while. So we're sticking with the Good and the Beautiful handwriting. We really enjoy it. I probably should have made notes because now I can't think, and I'm looking around the schoolroom like, what am I forgetting? What am I not talking about? We are going to switch up our Bible for next year. This year we just did sort of like a devotional and Bible stories and stuff like that. I really had some big plans and goals of what I wanted to do with Bible last year, and it just didn't happen the way I wanted. Last year was a very, very transitional year for our family. You may or may not know, like, I wrote a book last year and I'm still in the editing process of my book. That's taken up a huge chunk of my time. My husband has come home from his corporate job, and we sort of run our online businesses together. And so he helps with homeschooling, and we're kind of splitting all those things. But it's been a learning process to figure out who's doing what and how's this going and when are we going to do this. And we are still working out the kinks of figuring out what works exactly the best for us. So some of the things that I wanted to do with our school year last year just didn't end up getting done the way I wanted them to, and certain things with Bible was one of those things. We'll roll that over to next year and really want to work with the kids on memorizing books of the Bible and things like that. And I did pick some new curriculum. I'm looking at my shelf over there for Bible this year. So again, I'll share that in another video. We'll be doing a very similar looping basket, and the kids loved that, and we'll probably do a little more of that and add in some other things, maybe some art studies. My husband and I went to Paris this year in March, and we're super inspired by a lot of the art we saw. So we want to incorporate some of that with the kids. I have all kinds of ideas. I just don't have enough time in the day to execute them all. But yeah, so I feel like that covers pretty much the main subjects. So overall, we had a really great school year this year. I was pretty nervous about what it was gonna look like to homeschool 5 children. Like I said, two of my children were in the public school system last year. My daughter has Down syndrome, and I just didn't know. We've learned a lot. We're changing a lot of things with her for this coming year, and I think I'm gonna do an entirely separate video about homeschooling a child with a special need, because I think it is very different and can be handled differently. So anyways, lots of fun stuff coming up related to that, but I just wanted to share sort of our recap. We had a great school year. We're super excited. I can't wait to share with you guys what we've chosen to use for all of our kids. And yeah, so hopefully you enjoyed this video. I know homeschooling videos aren't for everyone, but for those of you who care about this stuff, I know you really care and want to see it. So thought I would do this, and I'm glad that I did. It's always nice to have these to look back on too. So give this video a thumbs up if you enjoyed it. Subscribe to my channel if you're not already. I'm gonna have a bunch of homeschooling stuff coming up, including a series on my channel, back to school series, where I'm gonna share lots of different homeschooling content during that back to school series. I don't know exact timing, we'll see, but that's definitely coming up, lots of homeschooling videos during that back to school time. So that's it for today's video, guys. I just saw my husband pull in the driveway and he brought me lunch, so I'm gonna go eat. I hope y'all have a fantastic day, and I will see you guys again very soon. Bye.